Meek Mill, at the time, due to some like issue with Nicki, whatever it was, decided to create a narrative that I don't write my own music, because that was what was convenient for him at the time, and he caught wind of it. It's unfortunate too, because Quentin was being managed by DJ Drama and Don Cannon, who ended up really fucking his shit up, you know, because they were just like really just messy with the shit unnecessarily. But yeah, you know, he decided to create this narrative that I don't write my own music. And the reason why I never felt like necessarily pressured to like sit down and defend myself right away or go do an interview is just because, I mean, anybody that was in those rooms, right, that worked on that project, or anybody that's been in any room with me, period, knows. First of all, knows that I am one of the best writers, period. That is what I do. That's what I'm known for. I mean, I go and write for other people. I write my biggest songs, my biggest hits. The massive majority of my catalog has all been written solely by me, which is a big feat, because music is a collaborative process. And at that given time, you know, with those isolated records, they just wouldn't be what they were if it wasn't for me, you know? I mean, if it wasn't for my pen and my contributions to that, and no, not taking away from him. I mean, we did great work together in a very small space. And yeah, you know, I mean, it really just kind of blossomed into this thing where I became the poster child for ghostwriting, which is a huge conversation now in music. And if I was like an evil spirit, if I had like a different agenda, I could sit here and tell you how this shit really works. I could sit here and tell you 10, 20 people that are worse than me, you know, that literally take everything and it's just a verbatim process but I'm not like that, you know? When my peers get a record, I'm happy. It's great. It doesn't matter where it comes from. I don't care, you know? But for me, it was a big deal because it just wasn't the truth, you know? And like I said, but if I have to be the poster child for it, and if you choose to after like finding out about that situation, discredit my entire catalog or my career, or you were gonna discredit me anyway, so you may as well just go forward with that. And I've like come to peace with that, you know? I mean, but yeah, I really when it came to that whole writing situation, I never felt the urge to like have to defend myself, because if you ask about any of the biggest Drake records ever, I've done them all. And if you ask about those Quentin Miller sessions, I was there, you know? I was working. There would be no second half of Know Yourself, and the bars wouldn't be as good if it wasn't for me on any of those songs. You know, and we sit down and we talk about cadences and we talk about which lines to do and whatever, and that's just what a collaborative experience is. And if people are that naive and they think that that doesn't go on in music, then you're out of your mind, you know? But because it's me, it was the first chink in my armor that people were like, we got, you know, we got him.
DJs were happy. There's certain
well,
people that carried away with it.
Well, and that's the thing. And
some
like,
DJs.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the thing too. It's like, it really made me realize like how deep this shit really goes, because, you know, there were like these references from our sessions when we'd work together. No context to those references at all, but they existed, you know? And that taught me a valuable lesson as well, which is just like, man, I can't trust anybody. You can't leave the studio with nothing, you know? And like I said, like, you know, it was really DJ Drama that got a call from somebody higher up at that time. You know, he didn't have the backbone to say no to this person, and he was like, yo, my guy's getting roasted. You got to give up. You got to give him some ammo to keep, you know, we got to keep Drake down. And that was really when I realized like how deep this really is. And yeah, I mean that whole situation, you know, it was what it was. And I can sit here right now. You could interview Meek and you could ask him if he thinks it was worth it. I bet he'll tell you no.
How did it feel, you know, to see it play out with Meek, and I'm asking this now not because I'm trying to instigate or cause more trouble or anything, but just as a fan and as a DJ seeing it unfold, like for both artists, like yourself and Meek, it was kind of crazy because it was like I think as fans we all thought everything was cool, and then Meek comes out, you know, and for you personally, though, how did that feel? Because you've been on tracks with him before, you know, the Amen joint and other stuff, you know.
I mean, it's just a pattern in my career, you know. There's just this one-sided switch that happens with people. I don't understand it. You could ask me about a bunch of people in this interview, and you could literally ask me what my problem is with them, and I'll tell you, I don't have one. You know, I watched him say that it was about posting an album or some show that I found out about the day before that I couldn't get to in time. It's not about any of that. You know, when somebody makes a decision to say, all right, everybody's supporting this guy, maybe I should be the guy to go against him. Or they just have a series of events that gets them aggravated enough to do that. That's what happens, you know? And unfortunately, on display for the world, that was a terrible, impulsive decision because you weren't ready. And in my mind, you know, I study the game, and not only that, but I'm a very calculated thinker. I'm sitting here thinking you're ready for it. I was sitting here, like my mind was going 1,000 miles a minute. I'm thinking this goes so high up that I'm about to see the craziest shit I've ever seen. I didn't know who was gonna be on a diss track with him or what he had ready. I thought this was like 3 months in the making, and I'm just like getting blindsided. And then when I dropped Charged Up, just to see just to kind of see what the preparation level was, I realized I was like, oh wow, you're not ready. This was like really your just emotions about something. I don't even know what it was, but this is just your emotion. Okay, now you know. That was the moment where it was. I remember I was in the studio and. I was working on some beat. I knew I had to do something, you know. I knew I had to retaliate because I realized he was unprepared. And when you realize someone is unprepared, you have to strike. And I was in the studio, and it was like some kind of like rap beat, you know. I probably would have gone like 80 bars on it. And somebody that's very important to me said to me, listen, if you're gonna do this next move, you have to finish it forever, and he has to live with it forever. That means he has to hear it all the time. It can't be some. And I was like, you know.
Who said that?
I can't. I can't. It's great advice, though. A true champion said it. I'll put it to you that way. It's not some like it's not one of my friends. Like a real person that like goes to war and like wins all the time, like a true champion, you know. And that was when I just switched it around, you know. That was around like midnight, and this kid walked into the studio for the first time, and played a beat, and the beat was too slow. And I told 40, man, I like the drums, speed it up like about 15 BPM. And when he sped it up, he just sped the whole beat up. He didn't just speed the drums up. And that was when I just heard like and I was like, oh man, I was like, all right, this is it. And by 4:30 in the morning, the record was out, and that was pretty much it. It was over.